So what is this now? Is this like the 5th, 6th, 7th, 10th time under Joe Biden where World War III has trended on Twitter? Yeah, we've been talking a lot about World War III since Joe Biden has in office, seeing as how he is adamant about getting us involved in all of these foreign wars overseas that we really have no business being involved in whatsoever. And of course, a attack in Moscow, a terrorist attack happened today in Moscow at a concert hall and a mall, a public mall, a shopping mall that is in downtown Moscow. And of course, the U.S. is right in the middle of all of the drama because, we just have to be involved in everything, apparently. We just can't keep our hands out of everybody's business. We got to be in everybody's business, man. I don't get it. Why can't we just be in our own little sector over here on the other side of the planet, away from Russia, and just do our own thing? I don't get it. Why do we have to be in everyone's business? Why do we have to be in everybody's wars? Why do we have to give weapons to everybody? And now World War III is trending yet again. And here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get right into the story from SCNR News. Mass shooting and large explosion at a packed concert hall outside Moscow. Dozens feared dead. Now, this is extremely important right here, guys. The United States appeared to have advance notice of an impending terrorist attack, warning Americans to avoid concerts just 2 weeks before. I want to get right into that and show you guys this right here. I want to see if I can give you guys a little bit better view of this. X doesn't really do a good job of that. That might be a little bit better. I apologize if you guys can't really read that. I'm gonna go into it. So this is from the U.S. Embassy and consulates in Russia. U.S. Embassy and consulates in Russia. This reads, location, Moscow, Russia. The embassy is monitoring reports that extremists have imminent plans to target large gatherings in Moscow, to include concerts, and U.S. citizens should be advised to avoid large gatherings over the next 48 hours. This says, this highlighted portion here, to include concerts. Guys, this is from March 7th, 2024. 2 weeks, 2 whole weeks before this attack happened on today, the 22nd of March, 2024. Let's get into the reading. At least 3 terrorists burst into Crocus City Hall and began throwing grenades and firing automatic weapons, according to early reports from Russian media. Guys, you can find video of this all over X.com. It's insane. Like these terrorists are pushing people towards a corner, and then once these civilians get trapped in this corner, they're just butchering them, just unloading magazines into them. It's insane. It is an insane level of merciless violence that I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of people in America and a lot of people all over the world are just not used to it, especially here in the West. The people in the West are not used to seeing that, unless maybe you live in South America, something like that, where you've got, communist bands out in the jungles and everything who they do stuff like this all the time. But guys, it's insane. It truly is insane. The level of attack that happened at this concert hall, absolutely insane. Let's continue reading. Russian news outlet Russian Times reports some media report that 40 people were killed and more than 100 injured as a result of the shooting. No official confirmation has been issued yet. Press outlets report the use of explosives, and video shows black smoke rising above the building. State news wire service TASS suggests up to a third of the huge complex has been engulfed in flames. The agency has added that special forces soldiers and the Russian Guard have arrived at the location. Meanwhile, there are unconfirmed claims that helicopters have been sent to extinguish the blaze. Shocking footage of the terrorist attack showed massive flames rising from the concert hall. Other videos showed the shooters targeting civilians seemingly at random. Warning, the following footage is extremely graphic. I'm not going to show any of the footage here on my channel, seeing as how I will get obliterated by the YouTube algorithm, and because it's just not the kind of thing that I like to show on my channel. Like I told you guys, it's literally innocent civilians getting butchered like cattle. Okay, I'm sorry. I try to lead a family-friendly show here on my channel. I'm not going to show that, okay? If you are a crazy person and you want to go on the internet and find video of this, you can. Just know it's extremely graphic, okay? It's absolutely insane. Now, ISIS, from SCNR News, and this is backed up by other sources as well, breaking: ISIS reportedly claims responsibility for terrorist attack at Russian concert venue. Now, I'm going to come out and I'm going to say this. Take this with a grain of salt. Okay, take this with, how can I say this? Take this with a cargo ship of salt, okay? Because it just doesn't really sound to me like it's ISIS, okay? Now, I will say this. There are Chechen Muslims who have committed terrorist attacks inside of Russia recently, okay? So this is a recent thing that Chechen Muslims have done, okay? So I'm not saying that it's completely out of the question that ISIS could be responsible for this. But in terms of what is going on in Ukraine, a massive missile attack that just happened like literally yesterday, it seems to me like this could easily be something that Ukraine is very involved in, okay? But I will get into this story here. The attack left at least 40 people dead and over, we just get away. Hours after the shooting, the terrorist organization allegedly claimed responsibility in a statement published to Telegram by the ISIS-affiliated news agency Amaq, according to a report from CNN. A machine translation of the Telegram post reads as follows: Islamic State fighters attacked a large gathering of Christians in the city of gosh dang, Russians, you crazy names. Krasnogorsk. Goodness, that's crazy. I'm sorry for anybody that's Russian watching this. I just English-speaking person, okay? So it's a little difficult for me to pronounce the names of your cities. I apologize. Krasnogorsk, on the outskirts of the capital, Moscow, killing and wounding hundreds and causing great destruction to the place before they withdrew to their bases safely. Okay, so I apologize. I did say that this was in downtown Moscow. I apologize. That is not true. This is in Krasnogorsk, outside, just outside of the city of Moscow, okay? So we're clearing that up here. The attack took place as a band called Picnic was about to perform. The musicians were unharmed. Shocking footage. Yeah. We've gone through all of that. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I got to be completely honest with you. I don't think that this is ISIS. I truly do not think that this is ISIS. I think that this is 100% has to do with Ukraine. Now, like I said, I could be wrong about that. I could easily be wrong about that, considering the history of Chechen Muslims attacking or causing terrorist attacks to happen inside of Russia recently. This is a very recent thing, okay? But guys, this is my point of making this video. The U.S. is right in the middle of this. At the end of the day, it is very likely that the Russians could turn around and they could blame the United States for all of this. They could blame NATO for all of this. The fact that, let's be honest. Ukraine is still in this war. There is still a war going on between Russia and Ukraine today because of NATO. Of course, you could talk about the massive amount of weapons that they've given to Ukraine, but ultimately, there was a peace agreement that could have happened very early on in the conflict. But of course, Boris Johnson came to Ukraine, flew to Ukraine, and told Zelensky, no, you're not going to agree to this peace agreement. So this conflict could have been addressed, could have been ended very early on. Now, I'm not saying that Zelensky would have agreed to the peace agreement, but they were having talks. And it appeared as if Zelensky was on board with these conversations that were happening with these peace agreements. And it seemed like the conflict was going to come to an end very early on. But then Boris Johnson flies from the UK to Ukraine and puts a stop to it on behalf of NATO. At least that is what it appears like. That is what it appears to have happened. Guys, this is the danger of the United States being involved in these foreign conflicts, in these proxy wars with other nuclear powers. Guys, if Russia wants to turn around and blame this on the United States, they very easily could. Without a doubt. They could do this tomorrow. They could do this within the next hour. Nukes could be flying. Because let's be honest, at the end of the day, Russia isn't going to be able to win a normal war, a normal ground war with NATO, okay? They've got a massive military, but ultimately all of the countries of NATO coming together to fight Russia, it's just not going to work, okay? So they would have to lead with their nukes in a war with NATO. Russia would start off with tactical nuclear strikes on major urban centers throughout the NATO countries, trying to take out manufacturing, trying to take out military bases, and trying to even the odds. Now, of course, NATO would, of course, strike back with their own tactical nuclear strikes, and it would be a bloodbath with the deaths of tens, possibly hundreds of millions of people. Guys, this is not what we want, okay? There's some crazy leftists out there that might tell you that this is necessary to preserve Ukrainian democracy, which, by the way, Ukraine today is not a democracy, okay? It's a fascist government, okay? Zelensky has turned that into a totalitarian state. Zelensky's presidency is supposed to end in like 2 months. His term as president of Ukraine is supposed to end in like 2 months. And there is no sign that he plans to give that up. It's a totalitarian state, guys. It is a fascist regime. If you might have seen some of these videos of people who choose to speak out against the Ukrainian agenda being tied to posts out in the middle of the street naked with signs saying traitor on them and all of this stuff. Just punishment, they're being punished in ways that are abnormal or would be seen as obscene. Guys, my point of saying this is not a democratic country. This is not a republic where there is vast freedom and human rights. There's no rights in Ukraine today. Zelensky has shut down the majority of media in the country. Really, the only news you're going to get in Ukraine is the state media that is controlled by the government. That's all you get in Ukraine today. And any journalists that speak out have been jailed. Guys, this is not a democratic country that we are giving weapons to. I've done a video in the past showing evidence to my audience. You can go back and watch this video. Forgive the quality of the video. This is when I just started my channel. It's a very old video. But I showed how ultimately they had people in the Ukrainian government. I believe this was back in like 2015, maybe earlier than that, but I believe it was back in 2015 where they had members in their government stating things like that my job in the Ukrainian government is to uphold the agenda of the white race. Yeah, like there are like when Russia says that there's Nazis in the Ukrainian government, they're not lying. Now, obviously, that's it's still a garbage reason to go and to go and invade Ukraine, whether or not there's Nazis in the Ukrainian government. Ukraine is not a threat to Russia. The Ukrainian military is not a threat to Russia. The reality is that if NATO hadn't stepped in and given all these weapons to the Ukrainian military, this war would have been it would have been over within the first month of fighting. Okay, that's the reality, okay? So ultimately, whether or not there's Nazis in the Ukrainian government or not, they were never a real threat to Russia without the help of NATO. But we are, at the end of the day, giving help, giving weapons, giving, military might to a government full of Nazis and fascists. Guys, on morals alone, we should not be supporting Ukraine. But the reality is that we have a state of warmongers in the United States government that loves to profit from the military-industrial complex and loves to line their pockets. And of course, you've got the people that work for the military-industrial complex that are going and lobbying to our politicians, people in our government, to the bureaucracy, saying, let's just get involved in this war so we can sell weapons and we can make money and we can all get rich. And millions of people will die in the process, but who cares? We're making money. And then, of course, you've got Russia on the other end of this, who has already stated that they are at war with NATO, that they are at war with the United States. It doesn't matter what we say. Russia believes they are at war with NATO. They have said this already. This is not out of the question. They've already said it. Whether or not me and you believe it doesn't matter. Russia believes it. And that's all that is necessary for an attack to happen, for a World War III to happen. That's all that's necessary. Me and you don't have to believe it. Only one side in this has to believe it. Now, to give you an idea of just why that's such a bad thing is, one, our military is in shambles. Our military cannot meet recruiting numbers. Their recruiting quotas have not been met in, I believe, in like 2-3 years. The military hasn't been able to meet recruiting numbers. They've cut 40,000 jobs out of the military because they were unable to meet their recruiting quotas. And then, of course, you've got the fact that, ladies and gentlemen, our border looks like this. I'm going to go ahead and mute that. This is what our border looks like. Take a look. This is a Texas National Guard being completely overrun by a mob of illegal immigrants. Check this out. Look at this guy trying to hold them back. Dude, it's a tide, man. It is just a tide of people just rushing past the National Guard. What do? What are you supposed to do? And ultimately, there are people that could have come across our southern border who have sympathies towards the Russian government. It is not out of the question that Russia and Iran have created kind of a partnership. We already know that Iran is sending missiles and sending drones to Russia to aid them in their invasion of Ukraine. It is very likely that Iran or Russia could have snuck people into Brazil and then marched them on up past the southern border into the United States. And now we've got Iranian or Russian spies or sleeper agents inside of the United States ready to commit terrorist attacks at the snap of a finger. Guys, we are not prepared for a war. We are incapable of fighting a war right now. But of course, our government is obsessed with the military-industrial complex, with keeping the military-industrial complex going, with lining their own pockets from selling weapons. Guys, this is what, the 10th, it's like the millionth time of course I'm exaggerating, but this is an insane number of times under the Joe Biden regime that we have feared for World War III. We have feared for a nuclear exchange with another nuclear power. How many times is this gonna happen before we as American citizens stand up and say, no, we're done with this. I'm sick of living in fear. I'm sick of wondering whether or not I'm going to wake up and my neighborhood is going to be a fallout area. For any of you who have played the video game Fallout, you know what I'm talking about. It's going to be a crater from a nuclear bomb. Well, I guess if you're in the middle of the crater, you're probably not waking up. So you get my point, though. Guys, we're not prepared. We're not ready. Our military is in shambles. We're not in a good place as a country right now. This is unacceptable that we would continue to push this agenda. Same thing with Israel. Listen, I'm a supporter of Israel. I believe Israel has a right to defend themselves. I believe it. I do. But we can't take care of Israel if we can't take care of ourselves. There is not a single country right now that we should be sending money to. There is not a single military or war that we should be getting involved in. Because we cannot take care of ourselves. Period. We should not be sending aid to any other country. Why? Because our own people need aid. You got our own people can't afford gas, can't afford to put gas in their car, can't afford groceries, can't afford rent, can't afford insurance. Everything's too expensive. Your dollar is inflated. Nothing is working, guys. But the people in our government look at you and they say, shut up and take it, slave. That's what you are. You're a slave to Joe Biden. You're just a serf. That's all you are. You are someone who is supposed to get on your knees and lick the boot and do what you're told. This is what the people in our government think of you. And they tell you that. The way that you know that that's what they think of you is because when the overwhelming majority of the country in these polls come out and say, hey, we don't support this, they spit in your face and do the exact opposite of what you support. So what else are we supposed to think as Americans? What else are we oh, well, yeah, I guess Joe Biden, Joe Biden really does know best what's for us. I'll just keep, paying, having my grocery bill go up by $100 every year. I'll just keep, my insurance. I can't pay rent, but I'll make it somehow because Joe Biden knows best. No. Enough. They do not know what's best for you. They know what's best for them and their special interests and their lobbyists and their donors. That's it. These people in the military-industrial complex that donate all this money to their super PACs, that give all this money to their donations, that is who they are fighting for. They don't care about you. The politicians don't care about you. They care about the people that give them money, that give money that give donations so that they can get elected and stay in power. This is what they care about. They don't care about you. They don't care about your community. They don't care about your needs or what's going on in your life. They don't care. They don't care that you're living in fear of a Russian nuclear strike. They don't care that you're living in fear that you're going to get drafted and get sent off to fight in Ukraine in World War III. They don't care. They don't care that you can't afford anything. Guys, the way that we fix this is by voting. What? Kendall, didn't you see the Time magazine article where they said, the shadow campaign to save the 2020 election? Don't you know that the elections don't you know that voting doesn't work? Guys, we just saw a couple months back in New Hampshire, the GOP primary in New Hampshire, where thousands of Democrats switched their party affiliation from Democrat to Republican so that they could vote in the Republican primary. And they voted for Nikki Haley. They did this to try to defeat Trump in the New Hampshire primary so that Trump would then lose that state and lose those goodness gracious, I just had the word. He would lose those votes that he would need to become the GOP the GOP candidate for presidency. Is what I'm trying to say. And ultimately, it failed. It failed. They had shenanigans. They tried to defeat Trump in the GOP primary, and it didn't work. It didn't work because Republicans got off their butts, registered themselves and their friends and family to go and vote, and then they went and voted on election day. And they overwhelmed the system. The Democrats tried. They tried so hard. They tried their shenanigans. They tried to cheat. And it didn't work. It didn't work. Guys, you got to get off your butts. You got to go vote. You got to encourage other people to vote. You got to encourage other people to get registered, your friends, your family, and then on election day, or, if you're allowed to go early vote in your state, great. Go early. I don't care. I don't care. I would encourage you not to do mail-in voting, personally. Try to go, obviously if you're like disabled or something, sure, do your mail-in vote. But ultimately, go vote. Get your friends and your family. Say, hey, we're going to go out to, for pizza, or, we're going to go out to eat and hang out. But first, we're going to go vote. Guys, this is how we win. This is how we take our country back. For those of you who are out there and you've got your black pill, and you've got your doomer mentality that nothing could work. Everything's hopeless. Oh, woe is me. Oh, I'm Eeyore. Just, everything's depressing. Grow up, dude. Grow up. Put your cajones back on. Strap your cajones back on, okay? And fight back. Metaphorically, not literally, not physically, push back against the agenda of these woke crazies, of these psychos in our government, these warmongers in our government that are telling you, we know better than you. They don't. They don't. You know what is best for your life. You know what is best for your family. And if we do not push back, if we do not vote, if we do not get out and overwhelm the system, then we will get 4 more years of this. 4 more years of tyranny. 4 more years of cowering in the corner, waiting to see when we're going to get sent off to World War III. 4 more years of inflation. 4 more years of economic collapse. 4 more years of not getting paid enough. 4 more years of not being able to afford anything. 4 more years of watching your family struggle. Guys, and let's be honest, what other stuff could they come up with in another 4 years? Let's say the Democrats take back the House and they keep control of the Senate. Now Democrats have complete control over the whole government, except of course for the judicial branch. But they've got they've got Congress. They would have the executive branch. Just imagine the insanity that they could push onto your life if we allow that to happen. If we don't get out and vote. Guys, you think it's bad now. It could get a heck of a lot worse. You got to vote. I know you think it's hopeless. I don't give a crap. For the sake of your family, for the sake of at least just trying something, you have no other recourse. This is the only recourse you have. So take it and take your country back so that this insanity can stop, so that we can get out of all these wars, so that we can fix our economy. Now, I'm not saying that a guy like Donald Trump is going to fix all of our problems. I'm not. There's no way that all of this insanity is going to get unraveled in 4 years. But guys, it could be a heck of a lot better than it is now. For sure. No new wars under Donald Trump. Economic prosperity. Success. Guys, we can see that again. But you got to do the work. You got to vote. Nobody can do it for us. We got to get out. We got to get our family, our friends, and we got to do what needs to be done. We got to go vote. We got to get other people to vote. I don't know, man. We got to do the groundwork. It is what it is. We got to get down in the dirt and the muck, and we got to do the hard work that it takes to see the success that we want to see in our country. I don't know. I don't know where we go from here. I know that this is insane and that we should not be involved in these wars because, like I said, it's like the 10th time that we've seen World War III trending on X. It's like every other week we see this. Absolutely insane. I don't know. I'm going to leave it there. I'll have another video coming for you guys on Monday. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment down in the comment section, share the show with your friends. Follow me on all the socials down in the description and hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever we put out new videos. And I will see you guys in the next one. Stay safe out there, guys. Love your family, love your friends. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.